2020 has been a pretty good year. For games, the rest of it sucked. But we got The Last of Us, the new Ori, Animal Crossing, Final Fantasy VII, Doom Eternal, heck, literal Half-Life 3. And yet, at the top of Metacritic sits none of those. No, we instead find it's the latest in a niche series of JRPGs titled Persona, a turn-based, extremely Japanese culture-heavy, social life dating simulator dungeon crawler. How did this happen? How did Persona 5, on paper exactly the type of thing that non-weebs typically avoid, end up so popular? It's because, and here's my argument, Persona 5 figured out how to make its turn-based combat play like an action game. I hate turn-based JRPGs. I've tried tons, but always end up giving up halfway. Like, take Pokemon. Sure, there's this whole system of weaknesses and other Pokemon to catch, but just spamming the basic attack from my starter is not only effective, it's actually faster than bothering to switch Pokemon. So I don't. The gameplay actively incentivizes battles to all play out the same way, and it just feels like a waste of time. Action games avoid this via player's skill, sometimes helped by the acquisition of powers. Here's a highly scientific graph that I drew in Microsoft Paint, with the player's skill over time. Now look what happens to enemies. The first time you encounter a challenge, it's difficult, but as the player gets good, previously tough enemies become easier to beat, until eventually they bottom out as fodder. JRPGs try to emulate this with XP and leveling, but, well, grinding. Because leveling up takes time, and importantly, is not meaningfully expedited by the player's own skill. Instead, it's just the same fight over and over. There's two broad types of challenges a game can ask of you: strategy and skill. Turn-based combat doesn't have the latter, so the only interesting part is the strategy. Yet, if you've already beaten an enemy, you've already proven your strategy works. When the game asks you to fight the same thing again, all you're doing is executing the strategy you've already made. Again. And this is where Persona's combat shines. Briefly, everyone starts standing up. If anyone is hit with a weakness or crit, they fall, and whoever knocked them down gets one more move. If your teammate knocks down all the enemies in one turn, you can do an all-out attack that does a ton of damage and is almost always an instant win. It's simple enough, but it drastically changes the way you approach battles, because now, the first time I encounter an enemy, my goal is clear: hit them with every element so I know what they're weak to. I'm cycling personas and party members while keeping everyone's health up and conserving precious SP, but only for the first fight. Once I know their weakness, subsequent fights are as simple as hitting it and then just all-out attacking. Where action games scale with player skill, Persona 5 substitutes information, but the end result is the same. Once you've figured out how to beat an enemy, the game does not waste your time on subsequent rematches. It's not just the mechanics though. After all, modern Persona has basically had the one more system since Persona 3. But Persona 5 does it better. The UI, for one, is flattened way down to avoid the menuception turn-based combat is notorious for. Imagine I'm fighting an enemy I've beaten before. In Persona 3, I start the fight and select Analyze, look at the weaknesses, then back, select Persona, scroll to the Persona I want and confirm, then scroll back to skill, select the skill I want, confirm, and then it hits. In Persona 5, I press right trigger and confirm. And speed is a recurring theme. Watch the animation on a simple attack in Persona 4. And now the same one in 5. Seconds add up over an 80-hour-long game. The former narrator of Extra Credits, Dan, talks on New Frame Plus about how action games require almost instant response to button inputs.
When the player hits a button, they generally want the associated action to happen quickly. Many of the best feeling games to control are the ones where it seems like actions come out nearly instantaneously.
Controls feel tight when they cause fast responses and slippery otherwise. And Persona 5's UI delivers. Every button immediately triggers a kaleidoscope of motion, and that feels good. It feels like your button press made something happen, like in an action game. Accessibility gets a bad name in gaming because people view it as watering down. And sure, Shin Megami Tensei fans will complain about how Persona hasn't been good since 3, but ultimately Persona 5 managed to distill the essence of turn-based combat. The strategic planning and the thinking on your feet as new developments render those plans obsolete. Turn that into a more accessible package by making it feel and play like more popular, faster-paced action games. And it worked.
Snowflakes only on your face.